Welcome to Escaping Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week, leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. What's going on there?
We said the thing. We did the typical English thing that nobody says, but we did it.
I mean, it's fitting for this episode. There are a lot of cops in this episode, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
Season 6 is not that good.
Right. Season 7 gets a lot of flack, but I feel it's better than this.
I don't know. I'll let you know when we get there, but like, we're over halfway now, and I'm just like, meh.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm finding this season a bit of a slog, I'll be honest. Because like, I keep going and like, right, this episode will be good, and it'll be fun to talk about. And I'm like... And this one's by Andrew Dabb as well, who I'm realising that I don't like the way he writes Dean. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I should have been more concerned when he becomes showrunner in the later seasons than I was at the time, because I just don't like it. I don't know why. There's just different characterizations of their character, like, that makes sense, of when he writes them. I don't know. He makes it more goofy. And like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. He does. But it's not in like a... So like, Ben Edlund can do goofy, but it's done well. It's just awkward. Right?
Yeah, because I feel like when Ben Edlund did it, it's like a wink and a nod. Like, not wink and a nod. Like, this isn't that serious. Like, ha 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 ha. Whereas I feel like when Andrew Dabb writes them, like, funny... Sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's just a bit cringe.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with a lot of the episodes. Sometimes it's just a bit cringe. It's Supernatural. They can't all be winners. It was 15 years worth, but...
This is very true. Yeah.
Season 6 isn't doing it for me. Like...
No.
I mean... Spoil this episode, I guess. I was just saying to Annabelle before we started recording, like... Well, they immediately did the thing that they were like, don't do. You know, they're like, don't break down the wall, Sam. And then Sam's like, immediately, I was just going to go like, you know, look into some memories I'm having. Touch the wall. Oh, I broke it.
I know. It's just... Well, okay. Do you think Death put up a shoddy wall because... like it's part of the consequences and things that they have to learn of their actions, that like you can't do everything you want, like you're gonna have to deal with this. I mean, I'm trying to make it good. I'm trying to make it good.
I think it was always, there's an inevitability to it because Sam's always gonna go looking, like that's what Sam does. There's no way he could have ever left it alone. He's a scab picker, right?
Yep.
If anything we said of Sam, it's that. And Dean should have known his character enough to know that he'd be like immediately questioning what was behind the wall. He could never let it go. So, as Cass kind of alluded to in the last episode, Dean did this for himself and not for Sam.
Yeah.
Right? That he wanted his brother back. I will say, in Dean's defense, that like leaving your brother's soul in hell is probably also not an ideal situation, because surely he's still getting like tormented for all of eternity.
I guess the thing though, right, is you could take Sam. Obviously, they're never going to do this because they're in the middle of the season and whatever. Yeah. But you take Sam's soul just out of hell and like allow it to pass on, because at this point there's no rules of hell. Like he could go to heaven. There's nothing saying that. Like that lore comes in later, where if your soul's been in hell, you can't go to heaven, right? They haven't established that.
I thought we talked about the fact that they had established that, and that's why it was stupid, because then they like bypassed that rule many times. I can't remember. Maybe it is later. We'll find out. But yeah, like they totally could. They could just like say, "Hey, we rescued Sam from the cage. No need to put him back in his body because he's already dead."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And just like
end the season. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I think that's the thing. Is that it was always going to happen. Like, as soon as they put his soul back in his body, like, of course it was. I just feel like they could have made the tension of like, how is Sam going to break the wall last more than half an episode?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, why is it this one case that breaks the wall? Like, what one case? That's all you get?
I mean, that's it, isn't it? Like, well, he went looking for memories. He broke the memory wall with this case. I don't know. Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, it was going to break, right? And it didn't actually take much for it to break. So it was always going to happen. I just wish they'd maybe given us one episode of real tension. I guess this was a whole episode. Fine. Do you know what? I'm going to stop complaining. Yeah.
There was no good tension build up. Like, there was no... the issue that I have with this particular episode is, why does he remember what happens to Soulless Sam? Why is it that thing that he remembers, and like hell is what he then remembers after the wall breaks? Like, so for me, when he first comes back, my understanding is that he's just forgotten about hell.
Yeah. Because...
I don't know.
No, you're kind of right. Because technically Sam has two brains. Like, body brain and soul brain. And they both have memories. So soul brain remembers hell, and body brain remembers all the things that happened in the last year. I guess the point is that by putting his soul back in his body, the two brains are like merging, and that's why he's kind of getting flashes of like remembrance from body brain. That's such a stupid way, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And the idea is that he shouldn't access soul brain's memories, but there's no way to distinguish between the two. So, yeah, that's my theory. Biologically.
Fair enough. We'll do it that way. And then, so another question.
Yeah.
Which representation of hell do you... I don't know if you could say prefer, but prefer. When the one we see in season 3 with Dean?
Yeah.
Or this one with Sam?
I like both. And I think they're different because Sam's in the cage, and I guess like they went more literal with the whole burning and hell thing for Sam. Yeah. I'm not mad at it. What about you?
I think it's just too on the nose with Sam. Like there was like, obviously the way that Cass described how his soul felt was like it was skinned alive. Yeah. And obviously they could never show that. Supernatural on network TV. But like, I don't know, like for the context that he's stuck in the cage with two of these ultra supreme beings, and then he's alone burning. I'm just like, but where are the torturers? Oh God, we're back at this whole subpar torture thing. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what they did. They cheaped out because when they put Dean in hell, it was like practical mixed with CGI effects, and in this case, it was fully CGI.
Yeah, with a bit of a fan.
Yeah, a bit of the fan. Just blowing his hair in the breeze, you know. Yeah. So they cheaped out on the effects essentially, but I still think it sold it. I'm not, again, I'm like not mad at it. I'm more mad at bad hell set from like season 14 or whatever it was.
That was. Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. Representations of hell just kind of go down from here.
They can only go downhill. To the bottom.
To the bottom. So, yeah. Do you want to get into it?
Yeah,
and we can go through it and cool. So, the episode that we're doing is season 6, episode 13, Unforgiven, written by Andrew Dabb and Daniel Laughlin and directed by David Barrett. I don't think we've had one of his episodes. It looked good. I thought it looked fine.
There were some zooms were had. Especially, actually, in the recap. They like added zooms that weren't there before onto Cass at the end.
I didn't.
It was great.
So yeah, the recap was it was a lot of the last sort of 2 episodes with Death explaining what he can do by putting up the wall, and then Dean explaining what the wall is to Sam. Then Death saying to Sam not to scratch at the wall. Then at the end of last episode, when Sam and Dean are having their conversation about like not telling Sam what happened in the last year and that he wants to set things right, so he needs to know what he's done, and that like Dean telling him that, you know, doing this could literally kill you and like you should stop. But this episode just undoes all of that.
Basically.
It's a year ago and they're in Bristol, Rhode Island. And it's Sam and Samuel. And we see them like it's kind of brutal because you see Sam like shooting people. Well, you don't see the shooting, but like you just hear the gun firing and like Samuel looking really upset about it. And Samuel asks if Sam's okay, and it's like, yeah. So you can tell that this is soulless Sam, obviously. This isn't so okay. One little minor thing that kind of annoyed me, but it makes sense-ish.
Yes,
is that this is all in color, and then when Sam has his memories, they're in black and white.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I feel like Jared's a good enough actor that you can tell when it's soulless Sam. So like the flashbacks would have been fine in color. I do kind of like, I don't know, stylistically, I quite liked it.
No, I enjoyed that it was in black and white, but I'm just saying like for this opener,
yeah,
I kind of, well, I guess that's the thing, right? He wasn't supposed to remember, but like, so why are we being shown this?
Yeah,
like this opener was not. It could have been something else, I think. I don't know what, but...
You're right, actually, because all of Sam's memories are in black and white. Like, they're his memories. Yeah. So why is this? Because this isn't a memory. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, no, I got you. It is silly.
So it's just like, what? I think I would have preferred to have learned the context of this episode just through Sam's memories.
Yes.
Rather than having this opener to set up the episode. Like it doesn't really add anything.
No, I agree with you, actually. I agree. I think it should have just started with the text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that Sam and Samuel are leaving and a cop car appears behind them and the officer comes out to basically arrest them because like he can't find the sheriff, but they know that they spoke with him earlier and now he's disappeared, and he notices the blood on Sam. Samuel's trying to calm down the situation, and then Sam just approaches the officer and like beats him to a pulp. Yeah, even though like when he lands on the ground his face is only a little bit bloody. So I was just like, Where was the, Dean against the Impala at the end of season 5? Yeah. Because that's what he would have looked like.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, because he's an extra, they don't want to put that much effort in, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so.
And then they just coldly leave him in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
and Sam and Samuel drive off.
Samuel is a bad Jiminy Cricket, right?
Very, very bad. Yes.
Because
I think it's because he's afraid of him.
yeah, he is afraid of Sam. And I guess Dean isn't afraid of Soulless Sam, which is why he was able to like keep him in check a bit more. I think that's quite telling.
Yeah.
Whereas Samuel doesn't really like go against him at all in this. Like he seems really weak, I think, like morally.
And really passive.
Yeah, really passive. You're right. Yeah. It makes me.
I guess, I mean, he is at the beginning of being back. So maybe. No, I don't know.
No.
Nope. I don't know.
I guess we just expect him because he's an older hunter to be more like John, and he's not. All right.
Right. But then he has moments where he is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's quite interesting to see their relationship, I think.
So it kind of flies in the face of what Samuel said in Caged Heat, where he's like, I don't even know Sam. Like,
yeah.
Why should I save him? It's like, well, you've been on, it seems like you've been on multiple hunts together. Like.
But they're not close though, are they? This is the working relationship. No. Like, there's no true. Grandson, granddad kind of thing going on here. Like.
That's true, because.
Yeah. Like, it's cold between them. All of these memories and all of these flashbacks, there's no love lost.
No, exactly. And especially true when Sam says, like, family just, like, holds you back.
Yes.
So it's just like, oh, tell us how you really feel.
He needed Dean to come back and be like, what are you doing, my man? Like, what is this?
Yeah, right. Family's everything.
Yeah. So we come back to the present after there's a title card, and then we come back to the present, and Sam and Dean are in a motel room. Sam's watching TV, and I was like trying to do you know what's really sad about this? It's like the worst thing that I thought could have happened in a whole year was that like Mel Gibson got arrested or whatever, and I'm like,
I know.
Do you know what? The world is a dumpster fire. That back then that was the only thing they could think of was like Sam to catch up on, and not like everything else. Think if he like went missing like now, like for a year, and then was like trying to catch up on TV stuff, it would be like so much happened.
You're right. But I think it was mainly for like the possession joke. I think that was probably what it was really.
That as well. So yeah, like basically Sam's like trying to catch up on some stuff. Like
Mel Gibson really took a turn this past year, huh?
Or he's possessed. Seriously, think about
it. Which, okay. Yeah. Dean's just got off the phone with Bobby. He doesn't have anything on the other plot. Mother of all, right. Who knows? That we're not going to mention it anymore in this episode. That's the only tie-in to that storyline. And they're kind of complaining that it's quite quiet. They haven't really had any cases, so it's almost a bit suspicious, like calm before the storm situation.
Right.
Sam gets a text of some coordinates. It just says Sam, like coordinates, but they don't know who it's from. He looks it up and it's Bristol, Rhode Island, where we went in the opener for this. He looks it up and he says that there's some women that have gone missing recently. I think there's 2 or 3 at this point, just sort of vanished into thin air. So it kind of seems like their thing. Sam does try to contact the person on the other end of this text, but can't get a hold of them. They kind of theorize that it could be another hunter looking for backup, because like he doesn't really even know how many hunters he met while he was working with like Samuel and the Campbells. But Sam's like, I think we should go. And Dean's like, no. He's like, drop everything. And Sam says, like, what's going on? You just said it was quiet. And Dean rightly is like, we shouldn't be looking into this.
You got mysterious coordinates from a mysterious Mr. X leading to a mysterious town that doesn't throw up red flags to you?
Like, it's probably a trap, if anything else. And also, should we really be digging into your past at this point?
Right.
So eventually Dean agrees and he just says, okay, but if things get squirrely, it's a really nice word to say, we dump out, and Sam agrees.
So, I mean, the only reason why Dean gave in to this is because it's the old Sam. Like, it's the caring Sam that is like, you know, there's a bunch of missing girls and we need to at least look into it.
Yeah.
Like, right?
We've said this before, like, he struggles to say no to Sam when he's like, oh, this case looks crap. They always end up going. And it's just like they're back to their old ways, essentially, or trying to.
Yep. Which is not good.
Unhealthy ways.
Yeah. This is what death warned you about. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah. So
be better.
It does feel like a setup, maybe from death, because like as they're driving, they pass the sign to Bristol, Rhode Island, and the tagline for the city is "Where memories are made."
I didn't even catch that.
So it does kind of feel like higher power is messing with them at this point. And Sam does kind of look at the sign like in recognition, and Dean says, "What is it?" And he's just like, "Nothing."
Liar.
So they go to this amazing seafood restaurant. It's fully decorated. They're looking through these like missing persons folders. He's like, this freak's got a type, brunettes. Looking back on this now, I just realized that's Sam's type. Sam is into brunettes. Yep. Like canonically, that is the case in Supernatural. And I'd never picked up on it before, but it's totally true. Think of like Madison. There's also that other woman from the art gallery. I can't think of her name.
Sarah?
Yes. And then these women, and then later on, like, even Eileen.
Even Ruby, like Ruby too.
Even random dog lady, you know, that lady's dog he ran over or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, it's because Jessica was blonde, so he has to go in another direction.
That's why, isn't it? Because anybody blonde is just going to remind him of Jessica, so he can only date brunettes. That's so sad.
Which is why Ruby changed her look and went for a brunette, because she was originally blonde, thinking that, like, right?
Oh my god, you're right. You're right. Yeah, because she was going to seduce Sam. She's like, damn, better change my hair color.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And get a bit shorter.
Yeah. That is an actual legitimate reason why she, like, I've never, no one's ever really, I'm not sharing any theories on that. I'm fully backing that. That's amazing. Yeah.
Revelations this week.
Yeah. We cracked the case. So they're trying to look for something in common with all these women, which we don't know yet, but they all seem different. And Dean's like,
I don't know, once you figure that out, I'm gonna go hit the poop deck.
And there is like a neon sign to the bathrooms that says poop deck, which is classy. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, pirates, right?
Yeah. So as he leaves, this brunette woman walks up to Sam and is like, Agent Rourke? I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
And she introduced her husband as well, who's called Don. And she's being really friendly with him, like, oh, you're back in town because of the disappearances, blah, blah, blah. Like, where's your partner? Like, meaning Samuel. And Sam is very, like, cagey and a bit out of his depth here because obviously he doesn't remember them at all. And as she's kind of asking after Samuel, Dean walks up and replies for Sam about where he is, and he's like, oh, you know, he's in sex rehab. And Sam introduces Dean as his new partner. So Dean kind of brushes her off almost because he's like, we should go. And as she leaves with her husband, she like turns back and winks at Sam in a coquettish kind of way. Like, I know you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know you in the biblical sense.
Exactly. Like kind of when she does that, Sam has a flashback to them having sex in the bathroom, presumably of this restaurant. I'm not sure, but like
somewhere, yeah.
So. Dean, on his way back from the poop deck, had seen that they do a 72-ounce steak challenge or something, and they take your picture if you manage to eat it. And in the background of one of the pictures, he spotted Sam like looking like, ugh, the person eating a steak. It's so funny. And then Sam is saying like, oh, I think I've been here before. And Dean's like, basically like, no shit, Sherlock. Like, here you are. I see you're here. I like, obviously.
Here's the evidence of your presence.
Yeah, here you are. So Dean's like, right, come on, let's go. They go back to this abandoned house that they're staying in, and Dean is packing up, like, let's go. Sam doesn't want to leave because he's figured out that like 5 guys went missing last year, so that must have been the case they looked at, and obviously weren't successful because there are still people going missing. And Sam, being Sam, blames himself because that's Sam.
I mean, Dean would do the same thing though.
And like Sam rightly calls him out on that during this argument too. Yeah. So they make the point that like women are going missing instead of men this time. And Dean's like, okay, great. Let's ring Bobby. He'll send some hunters out to deal with it. Like, it's not going to be us. And Sam's like, no, we can do this. And Dean kind of brings up this rule of hunters that you don't hit the same town twice, because they have a habit of leaving mess behind.
Which is not true, because we know that they visit multiple towns multiple times.
Yeah, no. Right, but
so it's just like, maybe it's not small towns. Like, you can go to like in St. Louis, you can go to like some of these bigger places and not really worry about it too much. But yeah, maybe you don't go back to Bristol, Rhode Island.
I guess Sam also kind of makes that point because like Dean says,
one of Dad's rules, you never use the same crapper twice.
Everyone uses the same crapper twice.
Not us. You know what I mean.
Obviously, like, meaning bathroom, but it is also true that they do, like you said, they do that. Like, they do go to places multiple times. So, like, Dean is wanting to leave because of the wall, right? And he's trying to use every excuse he can to be like, let's not dig into this. This is obviously connected to you a year ago. You shouldn't go looking. But he doesn't almost, like, directly want to say that. For some reason. I feel like he maybe just should.
Yeah.
And because it's eventually Sam who brings it up. Because like he throws John's words back at Dean because he says, Dad also said you finish what you start. But then he says, like, look, you're afraid. It's not because of this. You're afraid that if I start walking down memory lane, I'll kick this wall in my head so hard, hell comes flooding back. And then all of a sudden, I'm a drooling mess on the floor.
He predicted the future.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And Dean's like, yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Like, why aren't we leaving? And Sam says, you know,
what's happening here right now, it's because I messed up. Somehow, in some big way. So every person who gets taken, every person who dies, that's on me. I have to stop it. And you do the same thing.
Which is true.
So the funny thing is, though, skipping to the end of this episode.
Yeah.
There is literally nothing he could have done because he thought his actions were cold, but they were actually correct. Like, had he done it properly, none of this would have happened. But they didn't, because they didn't know the lore of this creature.
Yeah.
They didn't know what was happening. I don't know if it's because soulless Sam is just like kill hungry or whatever, or like kill first, ask questions later, or don't even ask questions to like not follow up on what to do next. But like there was nothing he could have done different in the past.
Yeah, I agree. Like, although it makes soulless Sam look out to be really like heartless and corrupt, he actually mostly, apart from maybe using the sheriff as bait, made the right decisions in this case.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like killing people and stuff. And Sam is essentially having to go in and clean up his mess, but it's mess that would have existed anyway.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Like, because we know that this is what creatures across America presumably are doing, right? They are all multiplying their numbers.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. I'm defending Soulless Sam. That's weird.
I guess it's also the kind of the point though, because later on Sam does say like, you don't get it, like Soulless Sam is me. So it's not so much that he's like a whole different person. Like he's still making the same decisions that Sam probably would have made. It's just in a maybe more heartless way.
Or it's more direct, right?
Right.
He doesn't explain why, like his explanation to Samuel as to why he has to kill all of these people. It's explained so bluntly, right? It's just like, well, you get a spider bite and it can kill you, so let's just, put them out of their misery. It's just like, what?
he's like Sam without the moralizing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so he's in a full guilt spiral, like says to Dean, you do the same thing. Dean agrees. He's like, okay, fine. You got me. This is what I would do as well. Dean says that he'll follow up with the women, and Sam needs to go talk to the cops. So they split up, which was a mistake. I don't understand why they did this, because they knew that they had worked this town before. They knew that Sam was FBI. Why would they send Sam to the police station? Because they don't know what happened previously.
I guess Dean's assumption is that there would have been a good working relationship with the police. Like, it's not often that they leave a town and the police are like particularly, I mean, it's obviously happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's often that they leave on a bad foot with the sheriff's department.
I just feel like they have no idea what happened in this town, that it would have made more sense for Dean to go. Just personally, like logically, it would have made more sense for Dean to go talk to the cops and pretend to be a new FBI agent. I don't know. But ultimately it does turn out badly.
Yeah, it does. It's a plot device.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Yeah, you can't complain about it. Like, they need to get the story going. Okay.
Yeah. Because you can't sit in the abandoned like house the entire
the whole time just thinking about what to do. So Dean goes to one of the women's houses and her roommate is there, and he asks her the standard questions of like, what's going on, etc. While he's asking her, he's like fishing around in her like business card bowl that she has, and finds Sam's fake FBI calling card. So he asks her about that, and she's like, oh yeah, like he did talk to us because one of the men that disappeared lived in our building. So he was asking loads of questions about it, and he came by a few times, and Dean kind of puts two and two together, and he's like, oh, what was the relationship like with this like missing woman whose name is Nicole? And he said, how would you characterize their relationship? And she's like, relationship? No, they weren't having. He's like,
Just the tone or the nature of their conversation.
Well, loud. And athletic.
yeah, so Sam was banging Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do when you don't sleep, right?
Right.
Sleep around.
That's so true. Of course, Sam was sleeping with loads of women. So that at the sheriff's station, Sam walks up and like immediately is spotted by the cop that he beat up because of course, Sam has a flashback to this guy as well. So he's like, oh, okay. Craptastic. So Sam tries to explain there's been a misunderstanding, but he also now knows that he like beat the crap out of this guy last time he saw him. So like, I don't know what he thought was going to happen. And even the now sheriff he is explaining that he's like, why would you come back here? You like, you're so dumb. And he's like,
You are not a damn agent, okay? The FBI never heard of you.
Just listen.
Where are the bodies?
and then he asks where the missing sheriff has gone, like, where is Sheriff Dobbs? Because obviously he went missing at the same time that Sam and Samuel were around and then left town. he says, you know, you run out of town soaked in blood, bash my brains in, and you expect me to buy that you don't know what's going on. So yeah, he chucks him into a cell, essentially. I mean,
Yep.
a woman comes by as well, and she asks, like, what happened to my husband? And Sam surmises that she is the sheriff's wife. Her name is Brenna. The sheriff, by the way, is Sheriff Ray Dobbs, who is missing. And Sam remembers quite a lot of their conversations together about them talking about the missing men last time he was in town. She knows that they're hunters and not FBI. Again, like, because of they told her. There's a whole flashback of them sat around the dining room table explaining they're hunters, essentially. Because I think Sheriff Ray was kind of like knowing that it wasn't something particularly human. I think there's some like clues there that he did, so they kind of are open with him about that.
Was it Ray or Roy? I thought it was Roy.
Ray, yes, Roy. I can't read. Sheriff Roy. I can't like the name Ray. Don't know.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Like Stingray. So, yes, they were all working on this case together, and so Sam says, oh, like, I know you're the sheriff's wife. And it's like, I really don't remember what happened to your husband, but we can find out. And he's like, if you really know me, you know that it's my job to find this out. She kind of believes that he doesn't remember what's going on. So Sam is being all Sammy again, and he's like, I'm really sorry about what happened to your husband. Like, I'm so sorry. So because he's got huge puppy dog eyes, she agrees to release him from the cell, and says, like, you need to find some rope because it needs to tie me up to make it look like you broke out. The last scene before, like, we get a commercial break is we see the woman who approached Sam in the fish hut restaurant. She's kind of like fighting with her husband about drinking boxed wine. And then the wine is out, so she goes to the basement and gets captured.
Yeah.
By a thing. We don't see it.
He did the thing that I hate, which is grabbing the leg from behind the steps. No.
That's why you put the boards in. Put the boards in the stairs. Don't have open stairs. No, thank you.
So you don't get grabbed. Yeah, don't get grabbed. You get grabbed by the monster.
Yeah.
Don't get grabbed by the monster. So Sam, we're back in the abandoned house, and Sam hears somebody approaching and like gets all paranoid and almost shoots Dean. Oh, yeah. I love this line from Dean. He says,
So how does it feel to be a fugitive again? Hate to say I told you so.
You'd love to say I told you so.
Actually, you're right. I do love to say I told you so.
And then he tells them that, like, you actually know who all of these women are in a biblical sense. So this is an indication that this is an Andrew Dabb episode, because he says, like, you really got around. I mean, soulless or not, I'm actually kind of impressed. It's just like, no. And then on the police scanner, there's a code that's being said, and it's a missing person. And Dean tells Sam to stay in the house.
Yeah.
Of course, we see Sam like waiting for the Impala to like drive off, and then he like leaves.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah. So Dean is coming out of the house, the missing woman's house, and he's on the phone trying to get through to Sam, and he's like, listen, you know, I found the connection between all the chicks. They all bang the same dude. It's you. The text, the victims, all of it, it's a trap for you. Call me back. Yeah. And then in Sheriff Dobbs' house, Brenna, I'm gonna say Brennan because of Bones.
I know, yeah.
Brenna comes into the house and Sam's like in the kitchen, and it obviously scares her. And she's like, what are you doing here? Like, I let you out and you're here.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And Sam's looking for the case files. He broke into the police station, couldn't find them there. So he figured that they would probably be in the house. He then gets like a flashback
Yeah.
of when Sam and Samuel are there and like in their home. And they're just sort of like having a beer, talking about the sort of the hunter life. Brenna's like, oh, you travel all the time, you just pick up and go. Doesn't that get hard? And Samuel's like, not when you're young, it's great. But once you have a family, it's a little tougher. Deanna got pregnant and we didn't know what we were going to do. But Mary, she was a blessing. So it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And like, I guess they put this in to like bolster his reasonings for why he wants Mary back.
Yeah.
Because, we were talking about how like it's so lackluster.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do it for me. Not really.
I thought it was quite interesting to see a softer side of Samuel in this episode, actually. Like, I quite liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't trust him though. Like that portrayal of, I don't know. The Samuel character, it's so selfish. I'm just like, yeah.
They all are though. Like, honestly, all the characters in Supernatural are very selfish. Like, and Samuel was a family man, but only to his immediate family. But it's the same with Sam and Dean. So they're not that different.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that they kind of reconcile that in this season, that they're actually not all that different, any of them.
Well, they don't really get a chance to because like they all get killed off.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. So Samuel goes and gets another beer. Brenna makes a comment of like, oh, he misses her. And like, and he's like, well, at least, you two have each other.
Well, Samuel wasn't really around when I was a kid. We have more of a business relationship.
Do you have any other family?
Family just slows you down.
So we then come back to the present time and Sam's like spaced out because Brenna, sorry. You're just gonna have to deal with it if I call her Brennan, right?
That's fine.
She's like asking after him and he's like, yeah. She has the box of the case files. And then as they're going through, Sam remembers more and they're in the restaurant, same one as before. And the creature, so Sam's best guess is that it's an arachne. And sort of no one's seen one outside of Crete for over 2,000 years because creatures are just coming back. And nobody knows like how to kill it. And just, there's blurry pictures on the sides of vases or vases. You then see one of the patrons complete the like challenge.
Yes.
And a waitress comes over, takes their picture, and this is where you see Sam and Samuel look over and have their picture taken. Yeah. And Sam pulls out a map and says, look, all the people have been taken in this radius and we should, there's too many houses to like look at each one. So we'll just like place a trap.
Yeah.
So we cut back to present time and Sam wants to take all the case files and Brenna's like, you really don't remember Roy. He was a good man. I've made peace that he's dead. But I just want to know what happens. And Sam says, I'm sure he died a hero. I was just like, oh, that's going to come back.
Yeah, that line was...
Yeah. So he gets the memory of the arachne because he's like picked up a piece of evidence and there's like a Halloween style web in it.
Yeah, so true.
And then he goes outside and his phone starts like telling him that he's got missed messages. And he hears the message from Dean. And as he's like listening, you see like this weird camera angle from like a monster. It's like all like jagged and whatever, like kaleidoscope. It looks like a kaleidoscope. And Sam's like fixated on this web that's like floating on the side of the building, which is huge.
Yeah.
Like that's not an natural looking spider web. Anyway. And he gets like startled by Dean, who almost gets shot again.
I guess they're not quite in sync again yet. I think that's partly that like Dean's constantly creeping up on Sam in this episode.
And again, Dean's insisting that they need to go. So they're back in the abandoned house, and Dean is like...
So, we know that this is a monster with opposable thumbs and unlimited text messaging, and we know that it wants to kill you specifically. Does that about cover it?
It's an arachne.
He tells Dean that he remembered.
I'm sorry, what else have you remembered?
Don't worry, all right? It's nothing to do with hell.
And again, Dean is insisting that they leave, and they can just, we can call Bobby, and he and Rufus can come and wrap it up, because they know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, this all makes sense, right?
Yes.
They know what it is. They can tell Bobby what it is. He can figure out how to kill it, and they'll just come do it. Like, it's the end. Like, anyway.
But it's personal for Sam because he feels like he failed, so he has to fix his mistakes, and this is why the wall was always going to come down.
This is true, and the wall, and that is from John and his like, you never leave a case unfinished.
Yeah, exactly.
But.
And it, like Sam says, Dean would be exactly the same in his position, that he would have to feel like he made things right, even though it technically wasn't him.
Exactly. Yep. So Sam is saying that, I know who did this, I just can't remember, and it's too risky. Sam then gives Dean his puppy dog speech. That would always work, because he says, I'm starting to think that I might have done some bad stuff here, Dean. So I don't care if it's dangerous. I just want to set things right, because I got a freaking soul now, and it won't let me just walk away. So they start putting up all of the evidence and putting strings and doing all that kind of stuff, like visual aids.
Yeah.
And then he's looking at a picture. I don't know which I can't remember which picture he's looking at, but he gets another flashback of some parts of it's a very quick one, of parts of the hunt that he was doing. There's two things that happen here, and I think that's why I'm getting confused, because he remembers what happens in what's currently happening, as in that, like, he didn't remember that, seeing the wife who just disappeared, because he's come back for the disappearances. Then he remembers Roy, but anyway, this is very, very confusing. But then it goes to a proper flashback. And like I said, all of these are in black and white. Yeah. So that's distinguishing, like, the two. And he's on the phone with Roy to tell him that they need to meet in Lonely Pines Park in an hour. Yeah. And Samuel's questioning him.
You sure about this? The arachne's been snacking on mid-30s guys. We need bait that fits the demo. I'm too young. You're too old.
And it got me thinking that if Dean was around, he would have been bait, because he is like early 30s.
That's so true. Yeah, you're right. And he would have got Dean killed, or like not killed, but numbed.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think he would have, because Dean would have been in on the plan, so he would have known to, like, be ready, right?
I thought this was a very John move from Sam. This was the mistake that he made, because he didn't clue Roy in, presumably, to the plan. He just called him to a place and didn't say why, even though they told him that they were hunters and that they were hunting something not human. So he totally could have been in on the plan. Like, he still didn't, because soulless reasons, just like didn't think that he was up to the task that they told him.
Yeah, because he says, do you want a credible performance? It's like, well, no, you want to capture the thing. You don't need a performance. You need somebody who will help you.
Exactly. And like Samuel is debating what we are now, like he should have told him the plan, like it's a bad move. Mm-hmm. But then why is Samuel, like I said, so passive in this that he didn't say like what we're doing is wrong? Like he just sort of goes along with it and is like, this is kind of sketchy, even though it's this person's life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do wonder if these are like the first hunts that they did together before, like, Samuel set up camp with all the others.
That's a good point. So maybe he was like Sam was in like a position of power because Samuel doesn't know a lot of like how the modern world works and all of that kind of stuff. And they do make a reference like technology in this as well, like at the fact that he puts like a trace on his phone, I think. And he's like, what is that? So yeah, I think that's partly the reason, to be fair. But yeah, I just thought this was so John. I was like, Sam, you are John. Yes. Why is Soulless Sam just Johning about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He took John's teaching literally.
Yeah. But we did say that, didn't we? Like, he became the hunter at the end of Mystery Spot when he lost his soul.
True.
Like, that's who he was. And we always said that and then that was John, you know, bent on revenge, single-minded. And Soulless Sam really was quite single-minded because they were trying to find out who brought them back from the dead. Like, that was their kind of only mission. And then it kind of got warped into like figuring this stuff about alphas and things, but like that was still what he was trying to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. So when Roy gets captured, like you said, Sam lets him know that he's got a GPS tracker and that they can find where he is. And that this was a backup plan, but it's like, well, your first plan wasn't very good because you didn't tell everybody the plan, like we just said. So they follow where the GPS is, and we get to where this like large building by the docks, and there's several men wrapped up in like spider webs. It just reminds me of a whole bunch of WoW quests.
I know, right? Yeah, same.
And it's kind of creepy because he cuts one of the webs open, and like it looks like the guy's dead, and then suddenly like wakes up and they all start moving in the same way. I'm just like, no, get me out of here.
I didn't like that.
And it's in black and white. I was just like, oh no.
I don't like wiggly people in spiders' webs. You know, like whole Lord of the Rings Shelob kind of vibe. It's not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not the biggest fan of spiders anyway.
I'm just glad they don't look like spiders, but I'm glad they don't look like spiders because one, it would be really bad.
Yeah.
Would be in like the CGI of last time's episode with the shadow dragon. And two, I don't think they could practically do a giant spider in Supernatural with people. Like it just wouldn't work.
It would end up looking like the giant spider woman from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So they start fighting the Arachne, and Samuel gets thrown across the room.
Of course.
Sam eventually bests the Arachne by just chopping its head off, which always works. Yeah. Pretty much always works.
Why don't they just do that every time?
Yeah, right. It's like fire or, you know, destroying the head or taking the head off. Roy is like sort of quite clearly in pain, and Samuel wants to get him to the hospital. And Sam's like, well, he can't be helped.
What? I don't know about Arachne, but I do know about spiders. One brown recluse bite can kill you. This thing? Look at these guys. Their poison's eating them alive. They're just dead men walking. So what are you saying? I'm saying we put him out of his misery.
And then he pulls out his gun. Roy like pleads with him. So I guess this is another point that Sam and Soulless Sam would do differently. Yeah. I feel is that regular Sam would explain what's happening and like make sure that they're okay and like let them have their sort of last rites kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Soulless Sam's just like, you're a hero, and just like shoots him.
Yeah, that callback was harsh. Like,
yeah, that was pretty bad. He then turns around and says, look, we can't leave the bodies here. Get the gasoline. It then cuts back to right now. And Sam's like, I know what happened. Then we go to Brenna's house, and Roy is there, and he's all like burned looking. It's got crazy looking eyes and all this kind of stuff.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. We're then back at the house, and Sam's on the phone trying to get through to Brenna, and he says, yeah, I'm just checking in. Like, of course I can swing by. Okay, bye. And Sam's like, well, she said it's no big deal, but I could tell that she was in deep trouble. They then go back to Brenna's house. Sam and Dean are there, and they go to the shed because there's a light on, and he says, my spidey senses are tingling.
So funny.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah. And then Roy attacks Dean and then grabs onto Sam.
What you did to Roy. Is it true?
Answer the question, Sam.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of feel like Roy has the right to be pissed.
Yeah. But, yes. Actually, no, yeah, you are completely right. Because he didn't get clued into the plan, and he got turned into a monster because of Sam.
Yeah.
So,
it was Sam's fault. That was the bit. It wasn't actually the shooting him and like setting him on fire thing. Actually, it was the using him as bait and getting him turned into a Spider-Man.
In the first place, yeah.
Because he would they might have been able to do that without him. I feel like they probably could have figured it out. It's just like Sam wanted to wrap it up, like let's get it done. Mm-hmm. Soulless sounds very impatient. But yeah,
which is funny because like he has all the time in the world because he never sleeps.
Yeah, exactly. It's just he just wants to go on to the next thing. Like I said, he's very single-minded. Mm-hmm. So Roy has webbed up Sam and Dean. And he says like, oh, I do look good apart from your souvenir. And he like points to his forehead, and there is a space where the like bullet went in, but presumably didn't kill him. That was it as well. Like they were quite sloppy. Like because if they were gonna, like, I don't know. If there was any kind of, I guess they didn't have any indication that they would have turned into spider people. But like, if they had any indication of that, they probably should have like chopped off everybody's heads.
Yes.
But also brutal.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, Sam says, oh, it's fine, you win, let Brenna go. It doesn't have anything to do with her. But Roy is full of righteous anger, and he's like, you come back here and you hang out with my wife. I gotta say, you get a hell of a lot wrong, Sam. Like that thing you threw me to, you thought it was here to feed. And Sam like rightly says like, oh, she was here to breed. Because knowing now what they know about monsters, that they're kind of proliferating. Yeah. So she's like, yeah, she bit us to turn us into what she was.
By the time you pulled that trigger, I wasn't human. Not anymore. So bullets didn't hurt me much.
So presumably everyone, all 5 of those guys are still alive and escaped that fire.
Yeah, he says that they scattered for the wind.
Yeah, and it's just Roy held a grudge, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because, getting shot in the head's probably not great, but, like, I feel like they might, I don't know, they could reason it out away because they were just unfortunate victims, right?
Right, and, like, why would you go after a hunter that tried to kill you? But, like, yeah, Roy has beef because he was used as bait. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He says, like, you know what, for months I kind of ran and hid and starved, but, like, what kept me going is, like, every night I dreamed about ripping your throat out. So he purposely took all those girls that Sam slept with. He goes, oh, I couldn't figure out why it was taking you so long to find me, but then Brenna said that you'd like had brain damage, like you'd lost your memories. Sam asks where the women are, and Roy says scattered in the wind.
They're like me now. You killed one monster, you made so many more. Congratulations.
Which, I don't know, that's hard for Sam, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of his whole shtick is like, he's constantly like messing up and making things worse.
But it's both of them. It's not just, yeah.
It is both of them. But I guess on Sam's head now, and maybe part of the reason why this episode ends the way it does is that like he has the weight of like, how many more of these stories are there? Like how many more lives did I mess up during my year being soulless? Like, how can I ever make this right? Because I can't remember all the things that I did. So I wonder if that like shock of that realization and thinking that he really should maybe remember what, so he can help those people, is what actually broke the wall.
It could break, literally the crushing weight of that, not knowing.
Exactly. So Roy asked whether he should kill Sam or turn him. While he was monologuing, Dean managed to cut himself out of his web and like attacks Roy. They sort of stop and like roll around and stuff, with Brenna shouting no, no, and then but she manages to go and break Sam free because obviously her husband is the monster now, and Sam being free decapitates Roy, so he's dead.
He is.
At the end of all this, Sam tries to apologize to Brenna and is like, oh look, I'm so sorry, and she just closes the door in his face, and like, good on her. Yep. Although he lost his memories and stuff, she doesn't know that he's still not the same person that she met a year ago, you know, as he was still a douche a year ago. So why? But
also, like, you just killed her husband again.
And that, like, she's already dealt with that. She said that she already dealt with it. Like, she was believed he was dead, and then he turns up and she has to watch him be murdered again. Like, it's that woman's been through a lot.
Too much.
Way too much. So they go back to the abandoned house that Sam and Dean are staying in, and Dean's like, are you all right? And Sam says, you know, you're right, we shouldn't have come back here. Dean said, well, you did kill Spider-Man. And Sam says, so you're suggesting what I did there was a good thing? And Dean tried to say, like, look, none of it was you. Like, this is not your fault. You weren't yourself in the past year. Like, you can't take this on to yourself. But Sam just says very seriously, like, let's be crystal clear, it was me. And Dean's like, well, okay.
Can I get you anything?
What are you now, my waitress?
I'm just trying to make you feel better. Don't be a bitch.
And like mid-sentence, so Sam says, oh, I didn't know, Dean, if I did this here, then who knows how many other, like I was saying, like the whole crushing weight of like what happened in that year. And like, as he says others, he like just drops like a sack of potatoes to the floor. And Dean's like, Sammy. But he doesn't wake up. And then we see what's going on in Sam's head, which is he is remembering like burning in hell, like all this flames like lick up his face or like all up his cheeks, and he's just like screaming, and the episode ends.
It does.
Yes, it does.
They did the camera trick again of like focusing on Dean, like, you know how they did in Caged Heat again, where like Sam gets knocked out by Meg's henchmen. They did the same thing here, so it like focuses on Dean while Sam's talking, and you're just like, huh?
Yeah.
And obviously they don't actually show him like drop. I'm just like, why? That was kind of weird. Yeah. There's probably like multiple things about why the wall broke. Obviously, like the thought of all of the other people that he might have hurt out there. Because he's already said that in the last episode, but like coming face to face with it is probably what kind of did it. So. But it could also be that like he burned people alive, and it's just like maybe that's what triggered it. Thinking about like he knows kind of what that feels. He does know what that feels like. At least his soul does. So maybe there was a bit of that. Probably more that the crushing weight
of guilt.
Of guilt. This is supernatural. It's
the crushing guilt. Yeah, it definitely is. I think I like that. I don't really think that it's explained. I think you have to kind of do the work there to understand why the wall breaks in this episode. I do think that's the reason. Because like we've said, like he was never going to let this go. You know, like he was always going to be looking now, picking at his memories to think, who else did I hurt? Who else did I not save? What else did I do?
So, but does the wall completely come down, or is it just sort of cracked? I think it's just cracked at this point.
I think it's just cracked at this point, yeah.
I don't know if it's completely...
I can't remember.
Completely destroyed.
I mean, I'm sure I'll find out next episode.
Yeah.
But like, I can't remember whether like they shore it up somewhat. I don't think so. I feel like it did completely. I feel like it came completely down, and I'm ready to be proven wrong.
So, because the only reason why I say that is because I'm pretty sure it's like season 7 where we see it's completely gone.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, sure.
I don't really remember though.
I think either way it kind of tracks, right? Like I said, like picking at the wall, like it all kind of, it all kind of works. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I like I said, it's kind of a shame that it all just gets resolved within kind of an episode. It did, obviously the storyline continues into the next one as well. But yeah, I thought this was it. What they did do with this episode is just cement into cement into canon that everyone that Sam sleeps with dies.
Yeah. Yep. You are correct.
Technically, the women aren't dead, I guess, because he said they turned them into monsters, but I feel like thematically
Eventually
it's the same
they
thing.
will Yeah. Like, if they're not smart about it, they'll just get killed by hunters.
Big rolled up newspaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, that.
I mean, you can tell that we're not super into this episode because this, this is a very, very short one.
Yeah, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, wow, we didn't talk about this a lot at all.
Because like nothing, like things happen, but like nothing, like plot wise, the wall breaks or cracks or peaks or whatever. Like it took all episode to get there. But like this episode's just not that interesting.
It's not, like, I didn't really feel like Arachne were very interesting as a monster. Like, I kind of like what they did with the contacts, with the, like, pupils being split. That was kind of cool. But then other than that, like, how would you know they're... This is my problem with the dragons. How would you know they're spider people other than their, like, spider eyes? Where's the cool legs? I know we said before the CGI would be bad, so, like, kind of good they didn't do it, but... I'm feeling like very Star Trek on this. All the aliens are just people with interesting foreheads and noses. Like,
right?
This is
just like, give her head like a weird, but then like, so this is the thing, right? Like, we don't really get to see the original monster.
Yeah.
Like, you get like a quick flash of her. And in that quick flash, I feel like she looked like the burned version of Roy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like her face was also kind of scarred up.
That's what I thought too. So it kind of took away the fact that, like, Roy had these scars from the burns that Sam inflicted, right? Because they made the original Arachne woman look all scaly and, like, her face was also kind of burnt. It was an odd choice. Like, I don't understand that, really.
And then on top of that, it's just like, the monster was kind of lazy, and I guess it's because they had the opportunity to like do dual storylines, but like neither one was really done well. Like, it was all half stories. Because like, I don't know, like with the not the dog episode, but the You Can't Handle the Truth. Like when they go into her house, like it's all like themed, right? And it makes sense for who she is. But then like here, it's just, there's nothing Greek about the place that this person's staying. Like, I don't know. It was just such a mess.
It really was. But I feel like we didn't get the full details of the original case with Samuel. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, it's just a monster. They had to make up a monster because it had to be something new they were fighting in order for them to leave some alive. And then they just chose something fine, but then they didn't really flesh it out or make it interesting, which is like part of the reason why people watch Supernatural is like, oh, to see what monster of the week they're doing, right? So. It was kind of a shame, I think. But yeah, I was not super into this one. I watched it yesterday night, like before we recorded, and it's a vehicle to get where we need to go in the season. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to season 7 starting. I'll be honest, and we've still got like 10 so episodes to go. There's some good ones coming up. Let's just keep positive on season 6.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, for the last couple of episodes, it felt like we were ramping up to something, and we did, but all of these like reveals are happening right at the end of the episode. And it's just like, you never get to see the fallout of that. Not really. Like, last episode, we ended with Eve coming out of the ground, and then nothing's addressed in this episode. Like, we don't even get to see like what she's doing. We don't get to see what Heaven's up to. We don't get to see what Crowley's up to. Like, I know this is like a focus on Sam and Dean and like how their ignorance of the world is like screwing everything up. But I don't think I like that storytelling. Like, I think it's just, we need to see the context of what's happening around and not just hear that, Cass is in a war. We need to see that Cass is in a war.
Right, yeah. And we get like glimpses of it with Balthazar and stuff, and that's it. I wish there was like just hints that something else was going on in the world. Like, okay, so the TV that Sam was watching at the beginning, they could have mentioned like strange lights in the sky, like figures fighting or something that could have been angels. Or we could see some things in the background, like people reading newspapers and stuff, like little hints that something else is going on in the universe that they are not clued into at the moment. So that when when it all starts to come together, you're like, oh, this makes sense. Like all these little things that were kind of hinted at are quite interesting.
Right, like having sort of mass extinction events.
Yeah. Because they're just making pop culture references instead for like laughs, where actually they could be using that time for like actual like storytelling. I think that's what annoys me.
And it shows, and it shows like Sam and Dean's ignorance or lack of interest.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be more interesting, right? And then so by the time we get to the point where the two things mesh together and you get like the whole like reveal with Cass, is like, of course they're too self-involved to have seen anything that was going on around them, so this is a big shock to them, but it's not a big shock to anybody else, right?
No, exactly. And like, and with the episode before last one, I'm forgetting the name, but when Sam's soul is returned, Death is leaning into look into the souls. Well, we haven't done that. Yeah. We've had 2 episodes and they haven't even, like, they just completely passed that off. Yeah. They didn't context. Like, it wasn't even mentioned to Cass when Cass was like, stop being a bitch.
Yeah.
Or not even stop being a bitch, but like, if you wanted to kill him, you should have done it outright. Like, that is something you literally have someone who deals with souls all the time, and you don't ask him questions about Death giving you this massive hint.
It's almost like it's almost it's so separated that it's almost like a commentary on like, you just wanted storylines about the brothers. Well, these there are things going on in the rest of the world, so this would be the consequences of just having those storylines. You don't get to see the bigger picture of everything else. Like, it's almost a commentary on like viewers. But I don't think it's that deep.
No, I don't think so either.
I feel like it's almost like 2 different story writing teams, and they kind of mesh them together in the end. Yeah,
I think so too.
I think the end of the season comes up strong. I think next episode is definitely a filler episode, 100%. I do feel like it's maybe quite an enjoyable one, but I don't remember. This one I had no recollection of. Right, I was watching this episode like, I don't think I've ever seen this before. But I remembered the end scene, so I must have watched it just to show how much of it's my brain.
Yeah, I think. But the thing is, do you remember the end scene because of this episode, or because it comes up in the recap? Like, every episode from now on.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't remember this monster. I don't remember the storyline. Like, I'm absolutely doubting that I ever watched this episode in the beginning. But I must have. I don't know though, because I did used to watch Supernatural, like when I was watching it in my 20s, which is like when it was airing. I did watch it on those like dodgy streaming sites because you couldn't get it in the UK. So it's fully possible that they did skip episodes. And I've never watched it.
I mean, I kind of felt that way about last week's episode. I'm pretty sure I've never watched that episode. And the funny thing is, when I went back to watch it on my Netflix, because I was watching it on Netflix, and it saves where like what episodes you've seen. That episode didn't have a red bar on it.
Maybe you never watched it. That's so funny.
Maybe I never did.
My goodness. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
Well, the next episode is Mannequin 3: The Reckoning. So we'll see. I don't know. Sure.
It's quite funny. I don't know if you've ever seen the Mannequin. I think it's. Okay, I may be thinking of the wrong movies. Maybe there are horror movies called Mannequin. But the one that I know is a rom-com from the 80s where a man falls in love with a mannequin who comes to life at night. Have you ever watched that movie?
I have not. No, I have not.
It's quite it's quite like a classic 80s rom-com. I quite like it. I probably would go back and watch it now and it's like horrendous. But I remember watching it as a teenager thinking, yes, it's okay.
Cool. So I've just tried to add more stuff to this episode to make it a little bit longer. But I really have got nothing else to say because this episode was just less than mediocre.
They can't all be winners.
That's true. That is very true.
So yeah, looking forward to the next one. I think we will always live in hope that it will be better than the last episode.
This is true. But we do the one after that, you know, it's everybody's favorite.
Yeah,
so
we just have to get there. It's fine.
we just have to get there.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up then. So
sounds good. We
would like to thank the Pixel Agora at the end of our episode for his wonderful logo art on our podcast. We love it, and I have it on a bag, and it looks pretty sweet, man. It looks pretty sweet. You should probably get it too. It's on our Redbubble account if you'd like to go get it there. And then come talk to us about all the things we missed in this episode that would have made this more interesting. And on all our social media. So we're on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, Escaping Purgatory Podcast. And on Twitter, it's just Escaping Podcast. So yeah, come say hi. Like we said, they can't all be winners. But I know, you know what? It's still Supernatural. So it's still a bit of fun.
It is. Yeah. I'm in it for the eyebrow acting at this point.
Like, it is good. There are some really good facial expressions going on.
So this week we came across a giant spider and it was kind of annoying. So we took a knife to it.
A knife?
Which is kind of... a big knife.
Scary.
Hopefully next week we can find our way out.
Bye.
Bye. Or find out what's happening in the rest of the world. Who knows?